Good afternoon, everybody. Those in the back will know what I'm about to say. The proceedings today are continuing to be live transmitted, but only after a 10-minute delay. Those with mobile telephones may use them to report what they hear in the hearing room, but only after 10 minutes have elapsed since the event that they're reporting. They may not be used for recording or photography. Mr. Barr.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Soracchi, other than Lindsay, Donna McLean, and your current partner, did you have sex with anybody else in your undercover identity?
No, sir.
Can we move now to a meeting that we understand that you had with a barrister instructed to defend the Metropolitan Police Service in litigation brought by Lois Austin and another against the Commissioner in 2005. I'm going to show you a series of documents and then I'll ask questions about what happened. Could we start off, please, from tab B54 with 726931? If we can just see what that is, that's the handwritten note dated the 12th of August 2013, produced by one of the officers from Operation Hearn, who interviewed you. If we go to page 5 of that, to the second section down under the heading Legally Privileged Material, reads, Kettling, Oxford Circus, Lois Austin. Carlo was asked to brief the barrister from the MPS on the character of Lois. Brief description given of Lois and what would wind her up because of the sort of person she was or the type of person she was. And if we take that down now, please, and if we could have from tab B108 738088. Go one page forward to see what is. These are the notes of the other officer about the same meeting. If we could go to page 35, please. And towards the bottom, there's a section, Access to Legally Privileged Material. Kettled at Oxford Circus, Mayday. Lois Austin sued MPS, going to civil court whilst I was still out. Back office asked to meet and brief QC's number 2 in relation to her character. I knew she was a South London girl who could get easily wound up. Anything about Lois we should know. And then if we could take that down, please, and have 749817 up. This is an attendance note made by someone from the Directorate of Legal Services within the Metropolitan Police Service. What's particularly significant about this is the date and the time, 17th of January 2005, 5:50 p.m. And there are initials of 2 people, the second of which you'll see is clearly JB, and the first one, it's not entirely clear, but something C. Was told to attend a certain location between 4:30 to 6:30 to meet SB informant. Told privacy that he'd be done at 5:30. He has been waiting since 5:15, now 5:50, no one has shown up. Gave him privacy's mobile number. Okay. If we could take that down. 749866. This is an email. It's from a barrister, John Beggs. His email address gives his Chambers email address to someone we're calling Lawyer 1, 17th of January at 10:30 p.m. Good meeting, some useful general info about nature of beast, but nothing specific on anyone but Lois, Niall, and just about privacy. If we take that down now, is it right that you had a meeting with a barrister?
Yes.
Who asked you to meet?
That would have, I think, come from my inspectors, because I recall checking it with them. I was asked to attend to discuss that matter.
Asked by your managers?
By my managers, yes, sir.
And what did they ask you to do?
To go and have a chat with the Met legal team, as I understood it.
And presumably they would have briefed you about the context?
I think they did, yes. I think it was to do with the Oxford Street kettling, as it's called.
Did they say anything to you about what it was that the Commissioner's legal team wanted from you?
No, not as such. I think I got the impression they wanted some sort of background from me.
Are you able to tell us who had got in touch with who? By which I mean, do you know from what you were told whether the SDS had offered its services to the Commissioner's legal team,
right,
or whether the legal team had come to the SDS seeking assistance?
I'm afraid I don't know that, sir.
How long before the meeting was it when you were asked to attend?
Can't remember exactly. Might have been a week, a few days. I don't think there was a big gap between being asked and to attend. I think I might have been asked one week and the meeting was set for the following.
Were you asked about events on May Day by DCI Dell before you attended the meeting?
Not that I can remember, no.
Were you asked about Lois Austin by DCI Dell before the meeting?
I would say yes, because I think I was aware that when I was going to that meeting, it was to discuss the Oxford Street kettling, and obviously I had been in the vicinity of Lois and other Socialist Party activists.
Had you been reporting back to your managers on the progress of the litigation?
No, came as a surprise to me to be asked to attend.
You said that your impression was you were going because you'd been in the kettle, because of the kettling.
Yes, sir,
you'd
yeah.
been in the kettle, you'd been close to Lois. Was that spelt out to you?
No. And again, please forgive me, but from what I can recall, there was some kind of action against the MPS. I had been asked to attend to assist with background because I was there. I was inside that kettle, basically. And my understanding was that it was to do with Socialist Party members that had also been there, of which Lois Austin was one of them.
Socialist Party members who
had been inside the kettle.
Our understanding is that the barrister you met was a man called John Beggs, who was, at the time, the most senior counsel in the Commissioner's team.
Yeah, I thought it was a number 2, but...
Mr. Beggs had the benefit of a leader in the Court of Appeal, but not in the trial at first instance.
Sorry, yeah.
Do you recall the name?
No, sir.
Do you have any reason to doubt? Do you have any reason to doubt that it was Mr. Beggs?
None at all. None at all.
Where did you meet Mr. Beggs?
It was in the vicinity of Chancery Lane. There were some offices there. My supervisors, I can't remember how many, but at least two of my supervisors were there, I think. I think Mr. Dell was present. He might not have been present for the meeting, but he facilitated.
Being very careful about anonymity, if DCI Dell was there, who else from the SDS was there?
It would have been one of the sergeants, sir, but I cannot remember exactly who that would have been.
Was HN 53 there?
I don't recall HM 53 being there.
Are you able to tell us which of your sergeants or not?
No, sir, I'm afraid not. And I could have got that wrong, but it was definitely more than one, and I recall the DCI being there.
In addition to you, your managers, and Mr. Beggs, was there anybody else there?
I don't think so. I'm afraid to say it just was not that important a meeting for me. I think I viewed it as a bit of an inconvenience, if I'm honest.
Can you help us with whether or not Detective Superintendent Alan Mitchell was at the meeting?
Oh, I can't recall, sir.
What is your recollection of how long the meeting lasted for?
For me, it did not last that long, I don't think. I don't think I was in the actual offices of meeting for over an hour. I think it was considerably less. Because I had made it clear to my supervising officers that there was not very much information I could provide.
Did anyone take notes of the meeting?
Possibly. I'd have thought they would have done.
Do you have any recollection?
Possibly the barrister may have made some scribbled notes, but I don't think any of the police officers did.
Were you asked how good your access to Lois Austin was, or anything to that effect?
I think I would have been asked how I knew her, and I would have explained that Lois Austin was part of another branch of the Socialist Party. I knew who she was because she was well known around the party. I think at that point I'd probably attended the odd social function where she was present. And I would have recounted this back to them.
Were you asked how good your access to the Socialist Party was?
I don't recall that, but again, I would accept that they might have asked me that, but I don't recall that. To me, that conversation was specifically around the kettling. They wanted to know what had happened to me inside of that and what I had seen.
Were you asked about Lois Austin as a person?
Yes.
What were you asked about Lois Austin's character?
I think I was asked to give a description of what I felt her character was and what sort of person she was. I recall saying that she was very committed to the socialist cause and was a feisty person. I think I may have made a joke that I was a little bit nervous if I was ever around her. Words to that effect.
Did you say anything about her being from South London?
I think I might have, because I think that's what I believed at the time.
The records I showed you earlier,
yes.
You told Hearn that she was easily wound up.
Yeah, again, I don't recall using words like that. I recall that I definitely said that this was someone who struck me as being quite feisty. I may have even used the term full on, and that I was nervous around this person.
What was it that caused you to say she was easily wound up to the Hearn officers?
I don't recall saying that. Again, this so-called interview that the Hearn officers have used, I was never formally interviewed by them. That was a very pleasant chat as far as I was concerned, sitting in comfy chairs with them scribbling things down. I don't recall saying easily wound up. If I did, by that I meant feisty and a strong character.
Were you asked how she might react to questions?
By the barrister?
Yes.
Possibly. I think that could have formed part of the conversation, but I wasn't able to give him any information. I did make it quite clear a number of times at that meeting that I really didn't know Lois. I had only had that real experience, and even then, you know, I hadn't spent loads of time with them in the kettle. I think, as I said earlier, I was rather tired and I just wanted to get out of there.
Were you asked whether she was violent or not?
I don't think so, because I never had heard or seen anything that would have... sorry.
That's slightly different. I'm asking
Sorry.
you whether you were asked, not whether or not she was violent, but whether you were asked about that.
No, I don't think so.
Were you asked whether or not she committed criminal offences?
I don't remember, sir.
Were you asked whether she had any connections to Irish republicanism?
No.
Were you asked whether her partner, Niall Mulholland, had any connections to Irish republicanism?
No.
You've been a little firmer in those answers, or a little bit more certain in those answers than your earlier answers. Does that properly reflect your level of confidence about that?
Yeah, I think so, sir, because as when we've talked about Irish republicanism on other subjects, that sort of thing does stick in my mind. And I don't recall anything like that. I think I would have remembered. I hope I would have.
Were you asked whether she had a child?
No.
Were you asked anything about whether there was a child that she needed to collect?
I don't believe so. The questions that were directed to me were, what is she like? And I was like, look, I do not really know this person. This is what I've seen on the limited occasions I've had contact.
Were you asked whether she was distressed by the confinement?
No, sir. I don't think so.
Were you asked about how she reacted to the confinement?
No, as I say, it generally seemed to revolve around what's this person like, as far as from what you have, your experiences of them.
Did Mr. Beggs explore with you whether Lois Austin was revelling in the occasion?
No, I don't recall that. No, sir.
From your recollection, did Lois Austin revel in the occasion?
No. No.
Were you asked what she did on the day?
I don't think so. Had I been asked that, I think I would have said, well, I don't really know. We were in a large group of people, and occasionally words would be passed amongst us, but had that been asked, I think I would have said no.
Were you asked about the behaviour of others inside the cordon?
No.
Were you asked whether there was any violence or disorderly conduct within the cordon?
No.
Were you asked about the behaviour of others outside the cordon?
I think, and I can't remember if it was at this meeting or if it was just briefings that I was given, that I had said that there had been pushing and shoving, but then we'd been cordoned, and at the end we were funneled out. I can't say for sure that I said this to the barrister. My recollection is that this was purely, what do you know? And I, as I said, very little.
Were you asked about the Socialist Party?
No.
Were you asked about Lois Austin's role in the Socialist Party?
No, I don't think so.
Were you asked anything about how the claimants for the claim had been chosen?
No.
Were you asked which of the claimants or witnesses were Socialist Party members?
No.
You sure about that?
But pretty certain. I think, again, if I had been asked about Lois, I think, as I said, the response I gave was, this is a committed member of the Socialist Party. But it really just wasn't that long a meeting. There was not a lot I could offer them.
Did Mr. Beggs explore with you whether anyone involved on the claimant side of the litigation was hiding Socialist Party membership?
No. No, I don't recall that at all.
Were you asked whether you had access to a Socialist Party membership list?
No.
Were you asked whether you could get access to a Socialist Party membership list?
No. And I don't think I would have had access to that kind of thing.
Were you asked anything about the Socialist Party's attitude to the litigation?
No. As I say, the conversation was purely, what can you tell us about Lois Austin? And we chatted through and I explained I knew very little, but this had been my impressions on the occasions that I'd been in her social circle.
Were you asked anything about the inner workings of the Socialist Party?
No, sir.
We saw from the extracts I took you to a moment ago that the officer had written down anything else about Lois we should know. Were you asked whether there was anything else about Lois that the barrister should know?
I may have been, sir, but I don't recall that.
Can you recall whether there was anything else that you were asked about Ms. Austin?
No, I mean, the overriding thing for me was trying to get it across to them that I had very little dealings with Lois Austin and that what I had seen, as I say, that was all the information I could give them.
What was Mr. Beggs's reaction to what he told you?
I don't know, really. He sort of thanked me and I was led out and got rid of.
What was your understanding of the value of the information that you had imparted to Mr. Beggs?
I didn't really have an idea. I was a bit confused as to why I was there, sir. But I had been asked to attend by my supervisors. I had explained to them that I knew very little. Obviously, I was aware that there was a civil claim ongoing. And they asked me to go and speak to a barrister because I might have some knowledge of the plaintiff, but I knew nothing. You know, as I say, I wasn't even aware, I think, that was going on.
What was your manager's reaction after the meeting?
To me?
Yes.
They just saw me out. I didn't even hang about. I was literally shown out of the building. You okay? Thanks ever so much. And that was it.
Did they speak to you about it afterwards?
No. By that, do you mean follow in the subsequent
days? At any other time?
No, sir. I think, if I'm honest, I think they were a bit disappointed. But, you know, you'd have to ask them that.
Disappointed in the sense that they thought you might be able to say more?
I couldn't tell them anything. There was nothing I had to say.
Could we have up from tab B43, MPS 526804, please? This is, again, a large composite document with lots of documents relating to RIPA authorisations. Can we go to page 54, please? This is a review dating from the 1st of March 2005. If we go to page 63, we'll see it's signed by HN53. And with the date bottom right. If we could go to page 56, please. the fifth bullet point down, and this is a summary of the intelligence that you had gathered. The fifth bullet point reads, UCO Craggy Island has been in a position to provide background briefing to both Metropolitan Police legal advisors and SO12 senior management in the current May Day 2001 civil case where individual activists with support from the SP organisation are suing the police. You've told us about the briefing to the legal advisor.
Yes, sir.
SO12 senior management. In view of who you've told us was at the meeting with Mr. Beggs, can I take it that the briefing to SO12 senior management was a separate undertaking?
I don't recall speaking to any SO12 senior management. As I say, my DCI would have been the only person that I no recollection of being taken out to meet any other senior management from SO12. If I'm being, to be honest, I think that was flowering up my deployment, so I don't know why.
Do you know whether or not your managers put in any report further up the chain to explain what you were able to contribute?
I'm afraid I don't know.
Did you provide any form of written briefing either for Mr. Beggs or for SO12 senior managers or anyone else for the purposes of the litigation?
No, sir.
Are you sure about that?
As sure as I can be, yes. I don't believe I wrote anything down at all.
Do you know whether anyone else from the SDS provided any such written briefing?
No. As far as I was aware, and am aware now, I was the only member of the then team that had been asked to go up to Chancery Lane to speak. I wasn't aware that there was anybody else who was aware of it. In relation to the Socialist Party, I don't know about the other groups.
If we could take that document down now, please. Could we have from tab C296 43049? This is, MPS 0043049. Thank you. This is an undated report, but if we look... Not sure that this is the right document. Could you go over the page? And again. Thank you, yes. The bottom of page 3. Sure. Socialist Party civil action against Metropolitan Police. Give you a moment to read that.
Thank you.
It's undated, but we can tell it's after the judgment in the case had been delivered at first instance. Why did you report this?
I could have been asked, but I don't recall ever being asked, sir.
Were you at the trial?
No, sir.
Were you speaking to those who had been?
I think this, if it came from anywhere, would have come from conversations in the pub or a social event, because obviously it would have been a topic of interest for people. But that's all I can can think, really.
Did you give any consideration as to whether an undercover police officer should be reporting on ongoing litigation against the Metropolitan Police Service?
No, I did not.
What was the reaction of your managers when you reported this information?
Again, I think this probably would have been written up as a result of just sitting down and having conversations with debriefing conversations. I don't think there was a lot of interest. I think it would have been just scribbled down. There were lots of different things that I would report on, and they would just write it down and create reports from them.
No particular excitement, but not told not to do it?
Definitely not told not to do it, I don't think. But as I say, this would have been me saying, this is what I heard.
In the bottom paragraph, the party hierarchy has instructed their legal representatives to prepare an appeal, as they believe that there is still a slim chance of victory under the Human Rights Act. However, nobody is holding their breath. Who is the reference to they in that paragraph?
I don't know, sir. Again, that would have been talking about, I would imagine, senior leadership of the Socialist Party, but I couldn't tell you.
Reading it, it appears that it's either a reference to the party hierarchy, to the legal representatives, or both. Can you recall which?
I'm afraid I can't, no.
Were you ever asked to brief lawyers in any other litigation with knowledge gained from your undercover deployment?
No, sir.
Were you ever specifically asked to report on any other civil or criminal case?
No, sir.
Could you give me a yes-no answer to this question? To your knowledge, were any of your fellow UCOs ever instructed to do so?
No.
Or to meet with and brief lawyers?
No.
Could we take that down now, please? Can we go to C295, MPS 0041227? This is a report about a day of action at Dagenham on the 12th of March. And in particular, it's about preparations for the counter demonstration. Give you a moment to look at it, but I'm going to want to know whether you were there.
I can't remember if I was there, so I entirely possible, yes, that I would have been. It looks the sort of thing that I would have attended.
Are you able to help us with what happened?
Nothing sticks in my mind. I think by Dagenham, are we sort of referring to, I know it says Dagenham, but Barking sort of pops up. I think there were demonstrations. It's very sketchy, sir. I don't think anything monumental took place.
Any physical confrontation?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Could we take that down, please? Can we have up from C298 MPS 0062472? There is, in this document, reference to Antifa activists attacking a small group of National Front activists near London Bridge Station. And what I'd like to know is whether you know anything about that. Were you an eyewitness, or did you hear about it secondhand?
I was not, sir. I would have heard about this secondhand.
Can you help us with what you did hear about it?
We're talking about the bits at the bottom here, aren't we?
Yeah. It's the penultimate paragraph.
Yes, yeah, thank you. I think exactly just that some sort of attack near London Bridge Station was spoken about. I was not there. I think that would have been most of it. I think at that stage, yeah, it's not one I was in attendance at.
Were you given any indication about the severity of the attack?
Not that I recall. Again, this would have been put in by me just in case reports had been made to police to assist with any kind of investigation. But I was not there. I don't remember being there.
Can we take that down now, please? Can we go to C299 MPS 0062703? This is a report dated the 25th of July 2005. I'm interested in the bottom paragraph of text, please.
Mm-hmm.
Give you a moment to read that.
Thank you.
So this is about the shooting of John Charles de Menezes, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
What was the significance of the shooting of John Charles de Menezes to the Metropolitan Police Service?
I think the reason that this would have been put in, again, it doesn't get much higher profile or more tragic than that. And I think there would have been a desire for any intelligence that we could pick up whilst out and deployed to be fed in to the policing sort of plan, as it were. I think at that time, I can't remember the exact date, but looking at that, I think it was quite close to the actual dreadful event. And senior management would probably have put down a request for this type of thing because any information about what might or might not happen was obviously going to be of use.
You've referred to the policing plan. Can you explain what that was?
I don't know. As I say, we would have been asked, have you heard anything? Are people talking about this tragedy? And we would have gone out and anything we heard, we fed back in.
Asked by whom?
I think it would have come from our back office but again, it was dreadful. I think, anything we heard, we would have fed back in. I think my colleagues would have done the same, really.
And for what purpose did you understand you were being asked to report anything that you heard?
I mean, again, general intelligence. You never know what's going to happen in future. So just being fed in.
Was there a feeling that this tragedy was going to be very bad news for the Met's reputation?
I would say yes, of course. It was.
And that the family's campaign to find out precisely what happened was likely to become a running sore for the Metropolitan Police Service?
I didn't get that impression. We were being asked, what are you hearing, out there? And as I say, on the back of that, if I did hear anything, I would just feed it in. And they would then decide if it was noteworthy or not and worthy of a report.
Was there a view about the family's campaign?
No, not as far as I know, no.
Was there a feeling that the left was going to use this issue as a stick with which to beat the police?
No, not that I ever heard from my supervisors. As I say, I think other colleagues in other areas would have also submitted reporting like this. I don't know. But
The SP has printed leaflets relating to the police overreaction and is to run the story as its main banner in its weekly paper. What was your understanding of why the Socialist Party was doing that?
Well, this was a dreadful tragedy and mistake, and it was very, very newsworthy. More than that, I don't think it was just the Socialist Party. Obviously, it was all over the news at the time.
Activists from the Lambeth branch have been tasked with making contact with family members of the deceased and offering the party's assistance. What was the purpose in reporting specifics on which branch had been tasked with contacting Jean-Charles's family?
That would have been what I heard, and that's what I would have provided at my debrief.
What was the reaction of your managers to this intelligence?
I don't think there really was one. As I say, I certainly wasn't pulled in to discuss it. I don't remember being pulled in to discuss it. I just submitted my intelligence and it got typed up.
Do you know what was done with this intelligence?
No, sir.
We had a report earlier in your evidence about the Harry Stanley campaign.
Yes, sir.
Was your manager's reaction to your reporting on that campaign different to their reaction to your reporting on this campaign or not?
Not that I can recall, no.
Was there any difference in what your managers wanted you to report in relation to the Harry Stanley campaign compared to what they wanted in relation to the Jean-Charles de Menezes campaign?
No, sir. To expand, just referring back to Harry Stanley, it was made clear that we had no interest as a unit, and that, yes, anecdotal reporting was accepted, and so if I related something, it might go into an intelligence report, but it was a sort of a virtual shrug of the shoulders and, okay, we'll make a note, but thanks very much. So there did not seem to be a great deal of interest from my management.
And if we compare that with Jean-Charles de Menezes?
Likewise, sir. I think I continue to provide information, but as to what got typed up into an intelligence report or not, I don't know.
In relation to justice campaigns, were you ever given any guidance as to what you should or should not be reporting?
No.
Or what was or was not of interest?
The general view was do not get involved. If you hear something and you relate it back to us in a debrief, we will then decide, but do not get involved was generally the view.
Were you told not to get involved in the de Menezes campaign?
It just didn't fall within, other than things like this, it just did not fall within my world. I never went to any meetings or anything like that to do with it.
Can we take that report down now, please? Can we have from tab C301, MPS 00062785, page 5, please. This is further undated intelligence. We have the second paragraph and the comment up, please. Socialist Party, de Menezes shooting campaign. I'll let you read that.
Thank you.
So this is further reporting in a little bit more detail about the Justice Campaign and about the Socialist Party's involvement in it.
Yep.
Why was this reported?
Again, this will have been conversations that I was party to at the time. Again, just reading through it, I don't think that this was official party meetings, that this was things we were discussing at socials. Obviously, it was incredibly pertinent at the time. Everyone was talking about what had happened. Only reason I can think for it, so I would have just reported that back, had a chat, the usual process.
You can imagine what sort, exclamation mark. Can you spare us using our imaginations and tell us what is meant by that?
Not really. I think I might have said, sue the police, and they've written that down like that. But other than that, no.
So, back to bad news for the police.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it wasn't a happy story. So, no, absolutely bad news for the police.
And then the comment section about the whole issue raising awkward questions for the Socialist Party and the campaign, the role of the campaign in that. Can you expand on what you were learning from your position within the Socialist Party that led you to comment in those terms?
Well, I think the initial comments regarding the connections, I obviously did have some connection to the CWI, the Committee for the Workers International, because of the Italian stuff. So I would regularly speak with, called them full-timers from that part of the Socialist Party. So that's where I would have picked that up. I think there was a lot of talk at the time, because I remember this not just at meetings, but when you'd be out, there was a genuine fear because a completely innocent man had been shot to death by police in a huge mistaken identity. So there was a lot of fear about, well, hang on a minute, what happens if you are from the Muslim community, etc. I think that's the context of what I was trying to get across.
If we take that down, if we can not take the document down, if we can go to a different document in the same file, page 4, please. Completely different report. At the top, it contains information about Mario. We could look at the first paragraph. I'll let you read that. We've heard quite a lot about Mario and his behaviour. This section of the report concludes he feels that most of the membership of Antifa does not share his militant physical approach to anti-fascist work. Was he right about that?
I think this would have been us chatting over beers in the pub, so yes. If that was his opinion that he stated, I don't dispute that at that time.
Just to be clear, don't dispute that it's factually accurate?
Well, that is what would have been said to me.
But was he right that most of the membership of Antifa did not share his militant physical approach to anti-fascist work?
Oh, right. I don't know, sir. I can't really comment. I'm sorry.
You sure, despite all the time you spent with them?
Yeah, in this case, absolutely. I, as I say, I was there when Antifa began, but it was a very difficult situation for me because obviously there was this whole crossover between the anarchists moving away from working within Socialist Party and no platform. So I had to be very careful about which way I went.
Do you have any reason to doubt that he was right about his opinion?
At that time, no, sir.
Can we move to paragraph 3? Give you a moment to read that.
Thank you.
Did you witness this attack?
No, I did not. This was anecdotal.
How often did you hear about opportunistic physical attacks on members of the far right?
Looking back, it feels fairly regular. I wouldn't want to guess, but it did seem to be quite a regular topic of discussion.
We've been through your reporting with some care. Would it be fair to say there's rather more of it once Antifa was formed than there had been before?
Yes, certainly from what was being reported back, but I, as I say, was not as involved at that time with Antifa, because it was a difficult situation for me to be in.
Can we take that down now? And could we have from tab C302 MPS 0063151? Page 2, please. Third paragraph up from the bottom, under the Socialist Party and Stop the War demo, 24th of September 2005. I'll let you read that.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm interested in the second half of that paragraph. However, mixed into this will be an anti-racist, anti-police message built around the fatal shooting of Jean-Charles de Menezes and the apparent shoot-to-kill policy of the Metropolitan Police towards suspect members of the Muslim Asian community.
Yep.
Am I understanding that right, that the campaign is asserting that the police had behaved in a racist manner in their shooting of Mr. de Menezes?
I do think there was that belief. This, I think, again, would have been stuff that I'd either picked up at one of our party meetings and that had been discussed. And obviously that second half would have been based on that there would have been a general discussion between members of the group.
Why is criticism of a fatal error by the police being described as anti-racist, anti-police?
I think at the time, I probably thought that, as many people did, that it revolved around race and appearance. And I think that's why I might well have reported that back.
Why is it anti-police to be critical of this tragedy?
Again, I think that might have been a figure of speech, either by myself or whoever I was talking to.
Was it the view that the Socialist Party was anti-police?
I think, as I say, a lot of my reporting would indicate that there was that feeling, if not amongst everybody, but quite a few people within that party.
And was there a feeling that it was seeking to use the tragedy and the ensuing campaign for its own anti-police purposes?
I don't think that's what I was trying to say. I think I was trying to say that it was such an emotive and serious subject that the police, particularly the Metropolitan Police, where my reporting went into, needed to be aware of this because it could lead to future problems. That's, I think, why I would have reported this.
And was there an intelligence interest in it because it was thought it could lead to future problems?
I don't know. I would imagine maybe the public order desk might have wanted to know about it because obviously they would provide estimated numbers, etc., to the policing plan and all those kinds of things. But I can only think that's why I would have provided that.
And was the fact that it was not only a fatal tragedy, but also one with a racial dimension that made it all the more difficult for the Metropolitan Police?
That I don't know, sir. I just reported what I heard or would read on the leaflets and literature.
Was it a reason why it was all the more important to report about it?
No, because again, I had reported previously on Harry Stanley, but again, it was it's the best way of putting it. It was just things I heard.
As we've been through, there's rather more mention of the de Menezes campaign than there is of the Harry Stanley campaign.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that a fair reflection of the different levels of importance attributed to the respective campaigns?
I think with Harry Stanley, I only was ever party to that one sort of discussion chat in a pub. This, because of everything that was going on at that time and the seriousness of what had taken place, was being spoken about on a regular basis at party meetings and, you know, social events. It was, everyone was talking about this. It wasn't just in my undercover deployment. It was something that we were talking about in my real world as well. It was very shocking.
In terms of where it featured on the scale for the Socialist Party, are you able to compare the Harry Stanley campaign with the Jean-Charles de Menezes campaign?
Not really, sir, because, as I say, I didn't hear that much about Harry Stanley. That could have been because of the time when that happened or how much time had elapsed. I was out there when all of this took place. And I think it was a very scary time for everybody. But obviously there were other communities that were affected by this more. And I was just trying to provide updates as to how people were feeling and what was being said.
Could we take that down now, please? Can we have up from tab B73 748 418? This document is entitled Overview of Militant Anti-Fascism in London and Beyond since 2000, plus periodic operational reviews 2003 to 2005. If we look at the first page, I'll let you familiarise yourself with the document again. Once you have done that, please let us know, and we're going to go to page 3.
ready now, sir.
We'll go to page 3 now, please. Can you help us, do you know anything about can you help us with your contribution to this document? Did you play any part in its production?
Certainly, I believe I did. I would have been asked questions, obviously, around what I knew about the formation of No Platform and the membership of it. Obviously, later on, again, I was in the role when the change to Antifa came. So certainly, the first page I looked at, I think most of that would have been from other field officers prior to me, composite reporting, etc.
If we look at page 3, the first full paragraph, the one that begins the timely deployment, if we could have that expanded. Timely deployment of Craggy Island at the time of the formation of MP allowed him to develop good relationships with certain members of the group. As a result, much of the group's activities were frustrated, and as a result of his deployment and the deployment of other covert resources, the group was limited in its ability to function effectively. This led to the group becoming increasingly frustrated and in time led to the political divisions which resulted in the disbandment of the group following the withdrawal of Socialist Party activists. I do not want you to say anything about any other covert resources.
No, sir.
But what I would like your reflections on is, did your personal activities and reporting on No Platform frustrate the group?
It may have done. I can't, if I'm honest with you, sir, I can't really answer that. I was deployed. I provided intelligence where possible. Again, I think whoever has written this is obviously they're writing a long essay about that world. So I suppose it might be better directed to some of my managers, and I don't even know if the desks still exist.
Was there any bigging up of your role and impact?
Not from me personally, no.
I'm not
sir.
suggesting that. Is this written up in a way that overstates your impact on the group?
You would have to ask them, sir. As I say, I may well have read this at the time, but I wouldn't have paid it much heed. Reading it now, it sort of feels a bit complimentary, but you'd have to have that discussion with my managers, really.
Can we go to page 4, on the top of page 4? Thank you. Let you read that.
Thank you. So,
How much contact did you have with the 635 group?
very little, sir. I would have possibly discussed this with Mario. I think apart from earlier in my deployment when I was up in Bradford, I don't think there was any other contact, sir.
Did you meet Mr. Barnsley?
No.
Did he have a reputation?
I think Mario may have related to me that he had a reputation.
Reputation for what?
For getting into fights.
This document says the London group has been largely disrupted by the efforts of this officer and other sources within the group. Again, it seems to be claiming that your presence in the group had disrupted the efforts of London and TIFA.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree or disagree with that proposition?
I would agree to a point.
And in a nutshell, how?
I provided reporting over that period of time where any information or what I thought might be intelligence, I fed into my back office, who then created intelligence reports which were passed on to other departments within the police. How successful that was obviously is another question for my managers.
Were there any efforts by you to disrupt the group from within by influencing its plans or directions?
Antifa?
Yeah.
I just reported back to, as I say, I think at this time we were starting to get into the withdrawal phase of my operation. Obviously, I thought this was an incredibly interesting time, but I wasn't given the opportunity really to develop it. I just reported what I heard, and then, as I say, my role started to come to an end over a period of about 12 to 18 months.
If you could have page 6, please. And under the heading Effectiveness, this is an operational review for the period August to December 2002.
Wow.
I'll let you read that, but I'm particularly interested in what it says about Mr. Gilman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've asked you before about Mr. Gilman, and I think when I asked you, your view was, as far as you could remember, the only instance of violence that you heard about second-hand was Slade Green.
Yes, sir.
How can it be said that your preemptive intelligence caused the withdrawal of Dan Gilman from active participation in violent disorder?
I have no answer for that, I'm afraid, sir. This has obviously been written by management or cover officers or something like that. Again, I would have and did provide reporting that Mr. Gilman was involved in organising protests, actions, etc. And I can only say that I think it may have come from that. But
it's a reality that this is rather unfair to Mr. Gilman, because
you'd have to ask the person who wrote it, sir. I provided the intelligence. That was what I did.
Your knowledge of Mr. Gilman over many years, is this unfair to Mr. Gilman?
I don't really want to get into a character assassination, so do you really want me to answer that?
I do, because you have...
Dan Gilman would regularly talk and plan events. There would regularly be talk about physical confrontations with opposition activists from the right wing. And I have to say, given the background that I understood that he came from, it was fully understandable. However, my role was to try and prevent public disorder, even if it was imagined or didn't come to fruition in many cases. That's why I was put out there.
Well, to say that it caused a withdrawal from active participation in violent disorder when you've only been able to provide one second-hand
I never wrote that,
incident means that this overstates Mr. Gilman's involvement in anti-fascist activity, doesn't it?
I provided regular reporting on Mr. Gilman. How that has been interpreted, I'm afraid, is something I can't really assist with.
And it overstates the role of your intelligence, doesn't it?
I would say no, because I feel I provided a lot of intelligence reports or that were written up. However, again, you would need to direct that towards my managers as to what they thought of me.
Can we take that down now, please? Can we have from tab C306, MPS 0064366? This is about Socialist Party activity within British trade unions, dated the 18th of November 2005. I'm going to give you a moment to read it, but my first question is going to be, what was your role in either drafting or contributing to this document?
I certainly wouldn't have drafted anything like this. Sorry, I'm just running through the... Thank you. I think, sir, this report would have been formulated from a meeting that we would have had, I can't remember if they were yearly, twice yearly, with the relevant desk. So in this case, it would have been the extreme left-wing desk. What usually happened at those is the desk officers would ask you the questions and you would just respond to them. And I think that's where it would come from. They would have asked me what I knew and what my opinion was.
And we see in the middle paragraph of the first block of text a reference again to developing a socialist or communist state.
Yes, sir.
In the long term.
Yes, sir. Again, part of the reason I know that this was nothing I would have contributed, but I wouldn't really have used the terminology communist because, as I say, I was alongside committed socialists.
And after that preamble about the Socialist Party, it goes into a union by union analysis of the Socialist Party's influence in each union, starting off, as you see at the bottom of that page, with Unison. Could we go to page 2 and the penultimate paragraph on page 2? This is the end of the section on Unison.
Yes, sir.
I've asked you some questions before now touching on this subject, but can I take it from this that it's clear that the Socialist Party is not in any way hiding its involvement in Unison?
Absolutely. As I say, this is what I would have said to the desk officers, and they would have written this down.
And that, airing its views, there were those within the union who were receptive to them.
Yes.
And were voting them into key positions, knowing who and what they were.
Yes.
Could we go to page 5, please? The conclusion, and in particular, could we have the first paragraph of the conclusion? Let you read that.
So
the suggestion is here that maybe a qualification on what we've just looked at is they may not have always been fully spelling out the revolutionary agenda. Is that a fair reading?
Yes, it is, sir. I think, as I say, that this would have been written by the desk officers. having taken notes from me and looked at other sources. But yes.
And is the reality, though, that the Socialist Party's revolutionary agenda is not hidden? One only has to look at their website to see that they're seeking an end to global capitalism.
Yes, sir.
Can we take that down now, please? C312 MPS 0066050. Page 3. This is a report about Mario and Mark Barnsley. If we could look at the top paragraph, please, and I'm interested in the bottom half of that paragraph.
I've just read that second half of that.
Yeah. Can I take it from the use of the word apparently that you weren't there?
No.
And is your source of this information second-hand?
Yes, I think it would have been Mario over beers.
And I'm getting an impression from the reporting and from your evidence that Mario, in terms of violence, was somewhat out on a limb. Is that fair by the standards of the people you were infiltrating?
He had a different political approach. I found him very personable, but there was a different side there.
Just put it its most simple, was he more violent than the others?
Felt that way, yes.
So would that be a convenient time to take the afternoon break?
Certainly. For everyone's benefit, we are going to finish by 4:30, but I don't know precisely when, and it doesn't matter precisely when. And we will finish your evidence, it's anticipated, by lunchtime tomorrow. I hope that's a reasonably accurate forecast.
Yes, if anything, we're doing rather better than expected.
Good.
Whatever you need to.
Well,
So thank you. Could we have up from tab B99, MPS 0526932, please? Go to the next page to identify it. This is, again, a further composite file with a lot of CHIS authorization documents in it. I want to go first to page 8. This is a box that has been completed on the 1st of September 2006 by Detective Superintendent McKinney. I'll let you read it, but I'm specifically interested in the reference to disruption activity in the second paragraph. Did you ever discuss the tactics that you would use in your deployment with Detective Superintendent McKinney?
No, sir.
Are you able to help us with what he means by disruption activity?
No, sir. He would have received that information from the DCI or the other cover officers in the back office. Mr. McKinney, I think during my time there, I might have seen him a few times when he came up to visit the back offices, and he would have said hello, but I never had any kind of discussion like this about my deployment.
Were you doing anything other than reporting on the intentions of the group and its activities?
That's why I was out there, sir, yeah.
Could we go to page 14, please? Let you read, again, Detective Superintendent McKinney's entry for the 31st of October 2006.
Sir?
I'm interested in what it says about you suffering some emotional pressure in your domestic life at this time.
Yes, sir.
I don't think I need any details from you, a very high-level summary of what the sources of the domestic pressures were. If you prefer to give this evidence in private, that can be arranged. But if you are able to give me a high-level explanation of what the emotional pressures were.
I'll keep it very brief. This was during this whole period. There was huge amounts of pressure on me because I had a young family and I was trying to cope with withdrawal and obviously new relationship with someone that I wanted to be with, and I was really struggling, as evidence there. I do not recall having this conversation with Mr. McKinney, but I think that would have come from the DCI and the DI, who would have been aware.
Can we move to page 19 now, please? interested in the last two paragraphs in the bottom block, that is to say, the risk assessment.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a moment to read those.
I've read that bit, so yes.
Mr. Headley's evidence to this inquiry is that he has no convictions. Do you agree with that? To the best of your knowledge.
Yes. Absolutely.
Mr. Batty's evidence to this inquiry is that he has no convictions. Is that true to the best of your knowledge?
Best of my knowledge, yes.
Mr. Frank Smith has given evidence to this inquiry that he has no convictions. To the best of your knowledge, is that correct?
Yes.
Did Mario, there is material in the bundle which indicates that Mario did have convictions and had served time at Her Majesty's pleasure.
I believe so, yes.
To the best of your knowledge, did Alfred have convictions?
I don't know. I'm not sure that we ever even spoke about that, myself and Alfred.
The statement, all are committed activists and most have previous convictions for violence, is an overstatement, isn't it?
Absolutely. I wouldn't have had anything to do with formulating this. I think this was them finishing my operation, so yeah.
This, when connected to a very real sense of personal betrayal, could lead to serious violence against Craggy Island in the event of any compromise. Did you feel that there was a threat of physical violence in the event of compromise?
Yes, I did. Whether that was me just building it up in my mind or otherwise, but yes, I did.
From whom?
Well, from the people that I spent the best part of 6 years alongside, sir.
Could we go over the page, please? The top of the next page, thank you. For this reason, it is proposed to make these individuals the subject of regular RBFs within DE Squad.
Right.
What is an RBF?
I don't know, sir. Some kind of update, perhaps?
Certainly Joe Batty is a senior social worker and has met with police at New Scotland Yard in the past and has actively considered applying for the IPPC and the IPA.
Huh?
CI himself understands the need to take additional care in East London in general and the boroughs of Hackney, Walthamstow and Brixton in particular.
Yep.
Was the risk there that you might be recognised as a police officer by Mr. Batty, or that you might be at risk of physical violence from him?
I think being recognised, for me personally, and obviously having to deal with awkward questions and what might follow. But I think for all of us, when we were withdrawing, that was the fear.
Seeking to avoid people who might recognise you back in your police role is understandable. Can I ask you, did you feel that you would be at any physical risk from Mr. Batty? Or would it just be awkward questions?
I think I would. Yes, I was in fear. Only because, sir, if for the only reason, I developed for me personally, a very close relationship with a lot of people in that world, and I was in no doubt that the betrayal, because we were employed to do that, would have a huge effect. If how can I put it? If it had been reversed, I would have felt very angry and upset. And when someone is angry, you don't know what's going to happen.
Can we go to page 66, please? I beg your pardon. Can we go to page 90 first? This is a document which we think is from the end of 2005 by HN 72. I'm interested in the 6th paragraph down, the one that begins a comprehensive report. A comprehensive report on the activities of militant activists within trade unions, prepared by UCO Craggy Island last month, has since been used to brief AXO, the Security Service, and ultimately the Secretary of State for the Home Office. You'll recall just before the break, I took you to a report dated the month before, November 2005, about the Socialist Party's activities within the trade union movement. We understand this to be a reference to that report. Are we right about that?
I think so. I cannot think what else it would be referring to. Obviously, I was aware that AXO would have been briefed. As I said previously, I didn't realise that it also was disseminated to Home Office and the Security Service.
Were you given any feedback at all that this was a particularly useful document or anything like that?
No, sir.
Can we go over the page to page 91, please? And if we, the top of the page, collateral intrusion. It's a box that's been populated quite sparsely. It says UCO Craggy Island has taken necessary measures to avoid unnecessary intrusion into the lives of those not directly connected with the operation. What measures had been taken?
None that I'm aware of, sir.
And it might be said that you had committed very considerable collateral intrusion into
sir,
the lives of those not directly connected with the operation.
I would not disagree.
To what extent was the question of collateral intrusion and the measures needed to avoid it discussed with you by HN 72?
At this point, I don't recall it being discussed.
At any point?
I think over the years, it might not have been with HN 72, but yes, there would have been conversations. But as I say, it's well documented how much sort of real attention was given to that.
Was HN 72 in any position to say what measures you were or were not taking to avoid collateral intrusion?
No.
Can we go back to page 66, please? Despite being an earlier page, we think it's a later document. We think this is okay. April 2006. I'll let you read the text, but I'm interested in where there's a reference to high praise from cabinet ministers, which is right at the bottom. I appreciate that I've asked you about this before, but I do need to be absolutely clear. Was this high praise from cabinet ministers ever conveyed to you?
No, sir.
Are you able to help us with which ministers?
I wish I could, but no, sir. What I would like to say, obviously, April 2006, I think it was around that period that I was returning back to regular police duties, I think. So I've no idea that this had been done.
Could we take that down now, please? And can we have from tab B106, MPS 722146? This is an even later document. This is dated January 2007. The author is Detective Sergeant Beals. It's a long report. If you familiarise yourself again with the key points on that page, if you need to see any more of it, just say. But what I would like to know is, did you ever see or contribute to this document?
No, I do not recall seeing this. I may have contributed to it through previous debriefs with both the desk and the cover officers, but I do not recall actually seeing this document, no, sir.
Can we go to page 6, please? Under anti-war activity, could we have the first paragraph, please? It says the Iraq War has provided activists of all kinds in the UK with a cause célèbre. Craggy Island provided important intelligence on the aims and objectives of the Socialist Party and no platform activists in relation to anti-war activity, including the attempted infiltration of the Stop the War organisation by SP members. Their intention was to make STW a more extreme and confrontational coalition that would take a strong anti-state stance during their public events. He also provided an assessment of the likely effects of the war on his target groups and their subsequent tactics. Right, Lois Austin was a member of the steering committee of the Stop the War coalition, wasn't she?
I can't remember. I'm not sure I knew that at the time. I knew that Lois Austin was a full-timer.
And she was an avowed member of the Socialist Party and one of its leaders.
Yes.
The Stop the War coalition was a particularly broad church, wasn't it?
Yes.
Turned out very large numbers of people at its biggest demonstrations.
Yes, sir.
And an open church?
Yes.
So the phrase that the SP and NP activists were trying to attempt infiltration of it, that's a nonsense, isn't it?
Yes, I would agree. It doesn't really fit there, as I say. Not sure why that was written by whoever wrote this.
It was Detective Sergeant Beals.
Yes, sorry.
Did you give Detective Sergeant Beals to understand that the Socialist Party was attempting to infiltrate the Stop the War coalition?
I don't believe I did. I did provide reporting on Stop the War and Socialist Party activities, but I don't think I ever used that term, infiltration.
How good was Detective Sergeant Beals' understanding of Stop the War?
Well, he would have got information from other officers and sources. So I think it would have been quite good, his understanding.
It was quite big news generally at the time, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
Can you assist us any further as to how it has come to be written up in such a sinister and misleading way?
I'm sorry, sir, I can't.
Could we have page 8, please? Paragraph 3. Assessments and briefing papers drawn up by Craggy Island on matters such as militant trade union activity by SP-SWP activists, particularly with regard to the so-called awkward squad trade unions and the Fire Brigades Union strike, informed the assessments of the Public Order Desk, the Security Service during their horizon scanning process, and the Home Office.
Sir.
Territory we've touched upon before.
Yes, sir.
Can you assist us any further with the phrase awkward squad trade unions. Is this one that you'd heard used in the SDS before?
I actually think that term came from the mainstream media because I think it was a term put out at the time regarding, I think there were some leaders of trade unions that had been nicknamed this by a newspaper. It was not something that I used, but I do recall that. Yeah, no, not anything that I would have used, sir.
We've seen some evidence about concerns that the Socialist Party ultimately had a revolutionary agenda.
Yes.
During your deployment, how would you assess the revolutionary potency of the Socialist Party during your deployment?
This was a small political party consisting of, for the most part, I think, some very committed people. In terms of their effectiveness, I think that was limited by finances and membership. That would have really been how I described them.
The revolution wasn't coming anytime soon, was it?
Not as far as I could see, no, sir.
Did the Socialist Party do anything during your deployment which threatened the safety of the state?
No, sir.
Did it do anything which threatened the well-being of the state?
Not that I saw, sir.
Could we take that down now, please? On Monday, I asked you a question about Section 81, subsection 3 of the Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act. I'll remind you of the terms of that provision. An offence for which a person who has attained the age of 21 and has no previous convictions could reasonably be expected to be sentenced to imprisonment for a term of 3 years or more. Since I asked you that question, we've been through your deployment in some detail. Can you help? Did you, during your deployment, ever come across offending by those you were infiltrating that would have met that test?
Yes, I feel I did.
And being careful about anonymity, can you explain what offending you were aware of that met that threshold?
I was aware of serious sort of criminal assaults being committed, which I think would have met the threshold, unless I'm confusing myself here, right? In which case I apologise.
Anything that you have not referred to in your evidence thus far?
This is what I've referred to, sir.
You were sent, when you made your witness statement, a very large bundle of documents which had all of your reporting that we had recovered at that stage. We have a selection of that reporting in the hearing bundle. It appears to us that there is a pattern. The pattern is there was rather more reporting in the earlier years than the later years.
Okay.
The volume of reporting appears to tail off a little towards the end.
Yes, sir.
Does that accord with your understanding?
Yes, I would agree. I certainly was not as productive.
Can you explain why that was?
I think the biggest reason for that would have been the personal issues that I created for myself. And ran out of steam. I can't think of a better way of putting it. I very much was still motivated by doing the work, but I just lost, just got physically and mentally tired from it. And as I say, that was because of the issues that I did create for myself.
Was your declining productivity in terms of number of reports ever remarked upon by your managers?
No. I don't think so, no. Not to me personally, anyway.
And how aware were your managers of your increasing problems and declining well-being?
I think after my being pulled in by DCI Dell and obviously everything coming out, I think they were regularly checking, or I was aware that there were discussions going on in the background and that people were looking at me. But it was a very isolated life, and I think again it was like, well, unless he tells us anything, we'll just leave him alone and keep an eye on it. And that was often the feeling. And again, I've changed my attitude towards these things over the years, but at that time, I think had they approached me, I would have just sort of tried to push it under a rug, as it were.
Can we go to your witness statement, 35550, page 144, please? Can we have paragraph 310, please? I'll let you read that, but I'm interested in essentially the view you express where you say, I think MPS management should have taken me out of my deployment at the time of my mother's death.
Yes, sir.
You've told us that was June 2002.
Yes, sir.
You've also just said that at the time you would have pushed things away.
Completely, yes, sir.
So my question to you is, would it have been apparent to your managers at that time that you were not mentally fit to continue when your own state of mind was essentially to push all these things away?
In 2002, sir?
Yeah.
By undertaking that job, I learned, obviously, to live two lives and to be two people. I genuinely wanted to keep going in that job for the reasons we have discussed, and because I still thought I could make a difference. I just don't think the decision was mine to make. I've only got to this in recent years, sir. I was in no position to ask to be withdrawn because I didn't want to lose face. And hindsight being the wonderful thing that it is, had my managers, I don't know, maybe, I don't want to say they didn't take an interest, they did, but we were very isolated. Had they looked at it and pulled me, it would have been very difficult. I would have fought very hard against it and been a very angry person. But on reflection, it would have been the right thing to do. And
When you say take me out of my deployment, you mean end it?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you for that answer, which was helpful. But it didn't quite answer my question is, what did your managers know that you were in such a bad place mentally at that time?
I did not tell them. No, I recall, I think I might have said being sat down and we went through everything and being told, if you are going to continue, you have to share this with your target group. You understand what that means, that these people will come to me more to you than they should. And I was like, I don't care, I want to continue. and that's what happened. And it was okay. I was told we will keep an eye on you, but that's what I did. And as I say, in hindsight, that was a completely wrong thing for me to do.
If we go over the page, it says, I was not able to temper my emotions and feelings, but I did not realise that at the time, and it is only with hindsight that I recognise this now. In what ways were you unable to temper your emotions and feelings?
I suppose the only way I can really describe it, I was heartbroken at that time. And that's what I mean when I say I couldn't temper my emotions. I just wanted comfort. And as I say, I look back and it was the worst thing to do, really.
You say that even you did not realise that at the time.
Yep.
Does it follow from that your managers would not have been able to tell that?
Completely. I would not have opened up to them. I fully accept that. They had a very difficult choice to make there, and I was presenting to them saying, I want to keep going, I want to keep doing this. And they'd be like, well, how are you going to deal with it? And as I said I was fully prepared to go down that road. As I say, hindsight is made me realise differently now.
And you've given evidence already that you would not necessarily have been fully forthcoming with the psychiatrist because you didn't want to lose your role.
No, sir, I was not. I was not, sir.
Which takes me to, what further or different welfare support would have made a difference?
I suppose the only thing for me, and it was, again, something that I've reflected on, would have been much closer supervision from our immediate cover officers, so our sergeants. There just weren't enough of them. When I look back and listen, the ratio, if you like, was the wrong way round. I think for a UCO, the sensible thing would have probably been to have 2 per officer. But obviously, I was not a manager, but that is just a view I have formed, because then you could monitor more effectively. And I know that's not realistic, sir.
When you say closer supervision and monitor more effectively, what do you have in mind?
Everything. Our cover officers did the very best they could, but they had to a large degree, leave us to it, as in, I think you've heard me refer to, you know, you're a big boy, you'll work it out type thing. And that did go across the board. Whereas I think they probably would have worked out far quicker all the problems I was having. And possibly it would have been dealt with differently. But as I say, that's just on reflection over the years when I've looked back at that deployment and spoken to various people, like health professionals and things like that.
Would you accept that the bottom line is so that if an officer is determined not to be forthcoming with the job about state of mind,
yes, sir,
and is not going to resist the temptation to misconduct himself, there are limits to what
I would accept
the police can ever do?
Yes, sir, I would accept that.
Can we take that down, please? Mentoring. We can have your witness statement up, please. 35550, page 145. Paragraph 311.1. Mark Jenner is one of your mentors.
Yes. Yes.
What did Mr. Jenner tell you of his relationship with Alison?
Nothing, sir. As I said there, we went for beers once or twice, and he talked to me about the anti-fascist scene, but we did not discuss relationships or things like that.
Did he ever discuss it in the abstract?
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't follow exactly. Do you
The
mean
risk of sexual relationships?
No, oh no, did not. The talk we had, more often, it was talking about how I would describe it, blokey things. For example, football. I'm sure the opposite sex were discussed, but not in that respect in relation to the undercover deployment.
In what respect would they have been discussed?
If you were talking about a celebrity that you thought was attractive, things like that. But he would also, as I say, as happened with other field officers that I went to see, he would talk me through in Mr. Jenner's sense, Mr. Jenner's case, he would talk me through his experiences of being within the anti-fascist action scene and that kind of thing. So, you know, how it worked out when they would go out on demonstrations and actions and all that kind of thing. But I only saw him twice, as I say.
Did you ever mention to him the sexual relationships
No, sir.
you had become involved in?
No, sir, because this was right at the very start of my deployment. I'm not even sure that I had deployed into what we called the field, because, as I say, he was being withdrawn when I joined the unit.
When you joined the unit, how much training had you had on the question of sex discrimination?
Might have been to a seminar, but I wouldn't say very much more than that.
How developed was your understanding of different types of sexism?
I was aware of what it was. I was aware of the effect that it had. But more than that, I did not pay it a lot of attention. I was aware that obviously you had to respect the opposite sex, but, you know, it was not in depth, sir.
At the SDS bi-weekly meetings, were there ever sexist jokes?
Not that I remember, no.
Never ever?
Yeah, it could have been, but again, I didn't pay it much heed, sir.
Can I take it from that answer that if there had been, you wouldn't have challenged it?
Not at that time, no, sir.
Was there sexist banter?
Again, in the sense of talking about celebrities that you thought might be attractive and things like that, absolutely. However, there were also female officers present, and you would try and respect different things around that, obviously.
Were sexist attitudes ever apparent?
Not to me, no. A lot of people generally stayed in role, and we didn't know each other that well because we'd all started at different times. There were a lot of people on the unit that you didn't know each other that well.
Do you accept that your own conduct undercover was sexist?
Absolutely. By the standards of today and through what I've learned over the years, totally. At the time, I did not understand that.
Just to be clear, by the standards of the day, it was sexist, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. As I say, I did not understand that.
We can take the document down now. I move to the question of race discrimination. Yep. When you joined the unit, how much training about race discrimination had you already had?
We would receive race discrimination training as part of our police sort of learning packages.
How much racial awareness training had you had since you joined the Met in 1992?
Definitely at training school. I feel we would have definitely had at least a couple of more seminars during my time before I deployed into the undercover environment.
Had you had any refresher training?
I'm sure we did. I'm trying to place the timeline because obviously I can't remember when the Macpherson report came out, but I think we would have had training on the back of that.
1999.
Yeah, definitely on the back of that, so yes.
How good was your understanding of the different types of race discrimination when you joined the SDS?
I think it was good. I grew up in a multicultural London.
Rewinding to 1992, when you joined the Metropolitan Police Service, was there more overt racism then than now?
Yes. Yeah, totally, yes.
Did you witness racism amongst any of your uniformed colleagues?
Not while I was in uniform. I do recall there was, whilst still in uniform, there was I think a famous comment made by a police commissioner at the time regarding street robbery and the percentages of people who are more likely to commit that sort of crime.
Is it your evidence that between 1992, when you joined the MPS, and 1996, when you joined Special Branch, that you saw no racism at all amongst uniformed officers?
Not whilst deployed as a uniform officer in the area I was in. Again, the people I was with, we were a mix of people. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. I just didn't think that way, so I didn't pay attention to it. I don't think I ever saw anything overtly racist. It may have been going on, but I did not notice it.
Was the position any different in Special Branch?
I think Special Branch was probably even better because I think there was a bigger mix of different backgrounds and heritage there.
When you joined the SDS in 2000 and infiltrated No Platform,
Sure.
it's fair to say your targets were very strongly anti-racist.
Yes.
Did they have a very good understanding of race discrimination?
Yes, I would say yes, of course.
Did you learn from them?
Yes, I did.
Coming back now to SDS bi-weekly meetings, without identifying any individual, did you witness any racist jokes?
No, sir, I don't recall anything like that. Again, it might have been in little groups, but the people I was friendly with, I did not witness anything of that sort.
Any racist banter?
No, sir.
Any racist stereotyping?
No, sir.
Can I move to the question of James Thompson?
Yeah.
This inquiry has heard evidence that Mr. Thompson perpetrated a number of sexual deceits whilst he was deployed. Did you ever get a whiff of any of that?
No, sir, I did not. Again, myself and Mr. Thompson's deployments only overlapped at the start, and then he disappeared fairly quickly into my deployment.
The same can be said of Mr. Boyling, with the additional evidence that he went on to marry the woman we're calling Rosa.
Yeah, but
Did you ever hear anything at all to the effect Mr. Boyling had got himself involved sexually whilst deployed?
Not at the time, sir, but subsequently in the later 2000s when all the revelations came out, yes, I did.
Are you absolutely sure that you heard nothing about either Mr. Thompson's or Mr. Boyling's misconduct?
Absolutely nothing, sir.
So I'm moving on to another section. Would this be a convenient moment to draw stumps for the day?
Certainly.
I've been asked to provide a factual update as to the state of publication of evidence on our website. Tomorrow, we are intending to publish the following statements. There will be other documents following after that. Tomorrow, the witness statements of Stop the War, Chris Nineham, the Fire Brigades Union with 4 exhibits, Mr. Dave Smith and 3 exhibits, Donna McLean and 1 exhibit, Alex Hodson and 7 exhibits, Matt Salisbury and 12 exhibits, RTS and 1 exhibit, Guy Taylor and 3 exhibits, Robert Bambury and 10 exhibits, GEHS and 2 exhibits, Carolyn Wilson and 1 exhibit, Martin Shaw and 4 exhibits, Simon Taylor and 9 exhibits, Brian Healy and 1 exhibit, Brendan Mee and 9 exhibits, Brendan Delaney and 9 exhibits, Ben Leamy and 15 exhibits, GRD and 11 exhibits, Roger Geffen and 31 exhibits, Joe Batty, MT, Monica and Ruth.
Thank you. We'll resume at 10 tomorrow.